welcome back to the Comic Book ASM Artist. Today we're doing another comic book haul. But first off, I want to make you all aware of the Werewolves and Unicorns Kickstarter that I had a privilege to be a part of. It has 5 days left. There's a link below if you want to check it out. But I want to show off just some of the preview work. There's a page from everyone in here. And obviously the real pages are much cleaner and crisper than this. This is just a little photocopy thing we did to promote the book. But this will give you an idea, and there's my story there with the first page. And the concept for mine is a lonely unicorn meets a helpful werewolf. So, that's the campaign. Like I said, it's got, I think, 5 days left on it. Go check it out below. So, first off, I'm going to start with stuff from my secondary shop. And I haven't been in there in like a month, so I have like quite a few items. I want to start off with this one though. Seeing a lot of people talking about this new Silver Surfer #1. I did read it. I don't typically do that before these videos, but I really wanted to see what it was about. And I think the main thing that stuck out to me was the unique art style. It's very like psychedelic. And the only thing that annoyed me is that there were bits of it where they kept talking about other books that the writer is currently writing. Like this stuff here, there's like I think 2 or 3 notes to read other series besides this one, so kind of tax those on, so I didn't really like that. I did appreciate the fact that they had a lot of internal monologue and the traditional just contemplative essence of the Silver Surfer. And Stanley has often said that Silver Surfer was one of his favorite heroes, and apparently when Donny Cates was working on this series was right when Stan Lee passed away, and so he had already written a little bit of it, but then he stopped writing it. He deleted everything he wrote and then started to write something different after he learned of Stan Lee's passing. So he said he wanted to make the best book he could to do Stan proud. And like I said, there are definitely bits of it that felt very true to that, with the internal monologue and, you know, the philosophy behind the character. Next I got the Savage Avengers #2. Right off the bat, we see almost a different approach to Deodata's style. I'm assuming this is like a flashback sequence here. So they have almost a faded wash to it a little bit. Yeah, because this looks a little bit darker here. It's present day, yep. Yeah, I enjoyed the first one. I think the main thing that drew me to it is obviously the roster of all these different heroes together, or anti-heroes rather. So it'll be fun to see where the story goes with that, and it's kind of a darker tone than I typically go with my books, so I'm looking forward to that. Next we got Spider-Man City at War #3, and this takes place in the Sony Spider-Man video game universe. It's more or less a retelling of the game with little bits of extra things in it. And this one is the series I'm buying mainly more for my son than for me. I did like the game, but I don't typically buy like random offshoot titles. The main series are typically what interest me. And then in the back of the other ones, they've been shown like some concept stuff, so let me check and see if this one has that too. Yeah, so they have like little concept work and notes about the characters in the back too. So that's just kind of a nice little scrap for people who are really into the game, which is pretty basic stuff, but still, it's nice to have it in there. Next we have Thanos #2 with this baby Gamora here, or little Gamora rather. She's not a baby there, but first issue was okay. This is just a mini series, so that's the main reason I got it. And then that's the same with that Silver Surfer Black too. I believe it's a 6-part series, and I think this is 6 parts too. And as I said here, I prefer it Ariel's like more painted style than what they've done here, emphasizing ink lines over it. But still, I think it will be an interesting enough story, you know. And with it only being 6 issues, why not, you know? Next I got Spider-Man Life Story #3. This one's about the 80s. So the concept is Spider-Man through the decades. But it's not just the straightforward story. It's kind of been reworked for Chip's narrative here. Because I was surprised in the previous one. They had elements that I thought would come into play much later in the series. So this is not going off the regular Spider-Man script, but it is highlighting certain cherished elements of it and putting a new twist on it. And I highly recommend and the art's great, and the story's great. And he is aging, you can see. So it's like Spider-Man in real time. I think most of the heroes are typically understood to be in like late 20s, early 30s range. You know, with obvious exceptions to be the kids and things, but when you typically think of the heroes like Batman and Superman and stuff like that, I would say that's the age range. And then here's life story number 4, the 90s. I'm surprised he doesn't have the bigger eyes here with a nod to Todd's stuff with him. Yeah, we see a very old Dr. Octopus there. So it is interesting to see them putting that on it where it's like, oh, they are actually aging instead of being forever in this age period, even though it's undeniable, you know, that they are in a different time period, especially with like advances in technology and stuff. Then I got the Hulk Last Call. This is a one-shot written by Peter David with art by Dale Keown, rather. And I hope they do more of these where they bring in, you know, established creators we all know and give them little stories like this. This kind of reminds me of the promotional art for the first Hulk movie that came out in the early 2000s. But if you haven't ever read Peter David's run on the Hulk, I highly recommend it. And pretty much anything Peter David, really, he's been around a long time. And the guy knows how to write a good story. Yeah, if they can't keep, you know, these veteran creators on for a full series, I'd at least like to see them do books like this with them. Here's Immortal Hulk number 17. I think that, you know, this is definitely the main book to watch in the Marvel comic book world right now. I think it's the one that's been the most talked about and things of that nature. It's just so weird and gross and interesting. Like the turns it's taken is definitely not something you typically see with a Marvel character, and especially it being, you know, one of their main characters, you know. It's hard to say how many books I got this week between the two stores. Next, I got Immortal Hulk number 19. We get to see the more brutal side of Hulk in here, see? And he's been fighting these weird genetic freaks. Yeah, if you like weird stuff, definitely check out that series. Next we have Fantastic Four number 10. This is a War of Realms tie-in, meaning, pretty much shoehorned. I can't stand when they do things that don't really affect a series. It's just an excuse for someone who's buying War of Realms to add this to their list. I don't care for that at all. I have been liking the regular ongoing Fantastic Four story, though. It's been very interesting with all the stuff with Doctor Doom harnessing power through Galactus and using him as a power source for Latveria. That was good. So, I'm sure this won't really matter much at all. But if anything, it kind of shows us how this war is impacting stuff down on Earth in the streets, Next, I got Avengers number 19. I can't remember what's been going on in the Avengers. Looks like McGinnis is back on it, though. That makes me happy. He's the one they chose to kickstart the relaunch of the Avengers, and I really love his art. But, they've managed to make 5 other offshoots within the Avengers book. So that's kind of what we're fumbling through. They've added, Blade and stuff like that into the roster. But they're still not collectively even working together. It's like they have 3 or 4 separate stories going on at once. But that's kind of to be expected with the big group books, I guess. Which is why I typically prefer just the regular standalone series. Next is Spider-Man, number 21. This is continuing the Hunted storyline, which involves rich people using virtual robots to hunt animal-themed Spider-Man villains in a sectioned off arena zoo type of thing. And at this point they've basically are exploiting vultures. I guess guess, lust for violence, you could call it, to kind of have Spider-Man try to be protecting the villains and the hunters, because Vulture is trying to kill all of the virtual hunters as well. And then here's issue 22. Yeah, just more of the same, you know. Issue 23. Looks like they've switched artists back to Ryan Otley here. This issue might be all silent too, I'm not sure. Nope, spoke too soon. Next is Iron Man number 11. I might end up dropping some of these Marvel books soon, I don't know. The main one I've been enjoying has been the Hulk one and Spider-Man. And I think that they're finally done with the virtual stuff, or this is the end of the virtual stuff right here. But I just feel like it's been dragging on a bit, and, you know, and they're not writing this with single issues in mind, which, I mean, that's pretty much the state of all the comics, really. But we're, 11 issues in here, and they're still on the same arc with the same villain and the same threat. So, not too crazy about that. And then here comes the War of Realms, Iron Man number 12 tie-in. Now, I understand the tie-ins for, like, the main people. War of Realms effects like Thor, I get that, but having it involve other heroes is just kind of silly. But at least this one, it looks like they have a heavy hitter in it. I'm trying to remember what his name is. I think it's Malekith or something. I'm not too steeped on Thor. But it's more than just his foot soldiers in this issue, at least. So that's good. Next is War of Realms number 4. The art has been good for this series, but I there's a lot of moving pieces in the story that I definitely won't remember and haven't been keeping track of. I know that Jane Foster has become the new Valkyrie, and supposedly they said Loki was dead or killed or whatever, but you know, that never holds. Next we have Thor number 13. And I absolutely love when this guy does Thor. I love his art style. It's very unique. Anytime that an interior of a book can match cover art quality, I am supremely happy. Next is War of Realms number 5, and I believe this series goes to 6 if I remember. And then if I remember, Daredevil is like the operator of the Bifrost Bridge now, I believe. Or the Rainbow Bridge, or I don't, like I said, I'm not steeped on Thor, I apologize. But I do like the art a lot. Next, we move on to books from my main shop. Batman number 42. And this mixes two artists again. Yenin in Forms. And I really like Yenin's style. I guess he's done a stint on the New 52 Superman towards the end that I want to check out. Next is Batman and Turtles number 2, and this is the third installment of this series. And the coolest thing about the series right now is Eastman is combining with Freddy to do the pages. So they've met the Mirage Turtles, and Eastman is doing the work for all those. And when I first opened this and I saw all these pages, the previous issue had like a page or two in this style, but in this issue it's much more prevalent, and I got goosebumps from it. I love Eastman's style, as you all know. And then I want to show you real quick. We have a combination of Krang with the, I believe it's the Anti-Monitor. That was the big bad from the Crisis on Infinite Earths. So that's their main threat in this series. Next is Super Sons 11. And this series goes to 12 and then it's done. And like I said, I haven't really cared much for the direction of the series. I don't like them fighting kid versions of all the villains. I don't like that at all. So, and that's pretty much been what's been going on for the last 6 or maybe longer issues. Next is Invaders number 6. I can't help but in the back of my mind wonder when this series will be ending. Because although I know and I enjoy this series very much, I know that it doesn't appeal to the typical crowd buying at this moment. I think it's a quality book that is being overlooked. But I don't know, a lot of people aren't super crazy about Namor and stuff. But I've really been enjoying it. It's probably one of the best books Marvel has out right now. Next is Superman number 12. And I'm excited. I got this cover. I thought I missed it. This is an homage to the old Fleischer Superman ending on the opening, as well as I believe they did it on the live action show too. But you know, I mainly think about the Fleischer cartoons and not the live action show when I think of Superman. It's between that and Christopher Reeve's Superman, of course. And then art-wise, I think of like Dan Jurgens and John Byrne's Superman. Those are my favorite iterations. Oh, and Bogdanov too, John Bogdanov. Deceased #2. Apparently this book undershipped at a lot of stores. So hopefully you got your copy already. Or if you didn't, you will soon. And this book kind of snuck up out of nowhere. They didn't do a lot of promotion with it. And now people are trying to get it. And they can't find it. It's kind of a different take on the whole end of the world scenario. It is an anti-life virus. Next is Young Justice #6. It's been okay. Or rather, I enjoyed the first issues quite a bit. The ones that Gleason was doing. But he's not on the book anymore. He is signed with Marvel, so. But I definitely like the old school Peter David Todd Nog iteration of Young Justice the best. Got so many books I'm gonna run out of tape here. On the video, rather. Next, I got Detective Comics 1005. Love this cover. And it's been good. I definitely recommend this title. We get to see Batman acting like Batman in the series. And it almost has a little bit of the animated series influence with the eyes and stuff. Not quite the same, but it's a little bit there. Next we got Event Leviathan #1. This is the first work received by Malev and Bendis working on Batman in a long time. If ever, I think he had just done covers previously when Bendis was working on Batman before. So this is going to be more of a detective themed event. But I'm definitely looking forward to reading it. And then we have The Batman Who Laughs, #6. And apparently they've extended this mini-series to an issue 7. And then it will spin out into the Batman Superman series. That's coming soon. I'm not going to have enough time to show you what I got from Half Price Books this time, but I'll make sure to do it on a future video. That's going to do it for tonight. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Check out the Bull #1 digital Werewolves and Unicorns campaign below. Click the links. You all have a super slumber. Thanks. Bye.